What's going on, everybody? It's your man Cleveland Terry, and I'm hanging out with these humongous speakers. No, they're not really that big, but they feel big when they're on my table. We have here, and I know I'm a little late to the party, the newly released studio monitors from the good folks at Pioneer DJ. Now they come in all different shapes and sizes, so they sent me all of them, including the pairs. So there's a lot of speakers that I have sitting around here. So we're gonna get this done so we can get them shipped back. Now, we have 3 different flavors of speaker here. The VM50, the VM70, and then the Behemoth VM80. Now, for the most part, price-wise, they actually all come in very, very reasonably. The highest cost speaker here is the VM80 at $289, the VM70 at $229, and then the smaller VM50 at $169. Now, these are individual prices, not for the pair, but per unit. Now you know the prices. Are there any features that are worth noting? Actually, there are. Now, when you normally look at your standard studio reference monitors, whether it be the Yamahas or the Rolands or whatever other funky yellow cone that somebody's deciding to release, there are a couple of things that are kind of standard across all of them. One is they are very, very flat. Now, you might have access to maybe a treble and maybe a bass input, but for the most part, they definitely usually sit at a very flat frequency level, and the only thing you have to operate is the volume. It's done that way because, well, you want the sound that you are mixing or that you are hearing to be as accurate, as close to the original product as possible. So you don't want to introduce extra bass, extra highs, extra mids. This is a way to kind of circumvent that. You have a flat spectrum, then you can do your engineering properly. These speakers all have the flat frequencies. We turn them around here, and you can see all of these systems are identical to this. You got your XLR with the TRS input. You have an unbalanced RCA, which you don't see on a lot of the other speakers out there. You have your volume and then your auto standby switch. But now you have something that's a little different. You have this DSP control. Now the DSP control are kind of preset Pioneer DJ defined sound frequencies, and they actually tell you, we'll show you a little close-up of this, of what the frequencies that they are removing or adding to right on the box here. So you have the ability to kind of switch to get a different sound without having to look back and see what your switch is on. You kind of know just by feel. Now, this is where this speaker acts a little differently than other speakers. I believe what Pioneer was doing was they're offering you the ability to do more with the products that they're making. You can use this as a studio reference monitor, keep it on flat, just do your thing. But you can also, if you're listening to your own music, if you are streaming, you want to get that sound that you tweak when you're listening to it in your car or you're listening to it on your home stereo. That's what those switches are for. Get a much better sound for average everyday listening, not for critical listening, for everyday listening. So it serves dual purposes, and for that, it's amazing. Also, I do want to mention this huge opening here. This is an air port that allows the speaker to move back and forth. It's a fairly large hole, and you can tell the difference when you do activate the bass. The bass presets on this thing are pretty impressive. The way these things are designed, they make for a very good open sound. No matter where you're standing, they pretty much sound good. But when they are right in front of you, the clarity is amazing. And that's the one thing I'm gonna say about the speakers. The clarity is very, very good. Price point wise, the quality that you're getting out of these speakers is kind of unmatched. Now, in case you were wondering, because I know a lot of people are gonna wonder this, they're gonna wonder, there we go. They're gonna wonder what speakers you're using at home. So I have 2 sets of speakers that I use all the time. For my streaming, I typically use a Roland M1 Active that I've had for years. takes a licking, keeps on ticking. Then for my studio setup, I have the Yamaha HS8. I was really interested in how they were gonna sound compared to both sets. Now, we have the M1 Actives, which I've had for, I think, 15 to 20 years. And they're great speakers, but they're old. So I was curious to see how the sound was going to be improved by bringing them in. The clarity on the VM50 and the VM70 are night and day better than the M1 Active. There is one difference, and this difference did stick out for me when I was reviewing the products. All right. So this is the HS8 by Yamaha. Pretty much the same size and weight and space. And this speaker is one of my favorites, to be honest with you, but it definitely lacks all the controls that you would see on this guy right here. It is a volume only, 1/4 inch and XLR, and that's all you get. This one gives you more. When it's all said and done, do we really care about what it gives you? We care about how it sounds. And that is the difference here. So let me pull this down so I can get a little light. When I turned these guys on and I was comparing them head to head, sound-wise, they sounded really good. The highs, pretty much the same. I would say that there was a little more high output coming from this guy than it was the HS8, but we're talking about, you know, very, very nominal differences in my opinion. Where it changed was on the bass boost. Now there is no bass boost on the Yamaha HS8s, and we know that those can put out some pretty good bass. That's a big, beefy speaker. This guy ran rings around it. Once I flipped this up to normal bass, like a club bass setting, it changed everything. And then this one became the dominant force. Now, for some people, they're gonna say, well, that's not why you use studio monitors, so it's just a novelty. I'm gonna say I sit at that desk and yes, I engineer, but I also listen to music, I watch videos, I edit my YouTube stuff, I edit all the things that I do at that desk. So having the ability to switch to a more beefier sound does a lot in my opinion. Because of that, you don't actually need to run it through a secondary mixer. Like you can run directly into this and use these EQs as kind of your mixing point. There's a lot to be said about that. Now, there's one thing that I will say, and this is because of price point and because of quality. When I compared the VM80 to the VM70, that's where things get a little gray. Because in my opinion, the VM80 is the best sounding out of all three of them. The VM70 is good, but when you compare these two, the VM70 and the VM80, the VM70, their highs come off a tad bit muffled compared to the VM80. So when you're looking at price points, for a little more money, I think you're better off getting the VM80. Now, if you're a VM50 price point, you know, there is no equal in my mind. If you're on the fence between the VM70 and the VM80, I would 100% get the VM80. These sound close to and or better than my HS8s that I use on a daily basis, and I've been really, really happy with these. So happy, in fact, that I put these over as my streaming speakers, and oh God, what a difference they made. Again, price points are $169, $229, and then $289 for the big V80. I think price-wise, they're actually positioned in a good place. $289 compared to my HS8s. My HS8s, I think retail right now at $329 a piece. So for getting the same and or better, at least being able to change back and forth, these might be a better choice. And I say that knowing that I love the sound of my HS8s. What I want to know from you guys, I want you guys to put in the comments what you're using. I want you to put in the comments what you're looking at and what you're looking for in a studio monitor or streaming monitor. Let me know down below. All right, guys, if you found what I said are useful, hit that like button. If you found what I said are really useful, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on the Instagrams and the Twitters. Also get on my Discord, because that's where we're doing all things Cleveland Terry. All right, guys, girls, always a pleasure. If I don't talk to you later, we'll talk soon. Peace.